What if I told you the car you're eyeing might be worth 30% less in just a few months? The auto industry is facing a crisis that's about to turn the market upside down. In this video, we're revealing a hidden force causing automakers to lose billions. It's not what you expect, and it could make your next car purchase either a great deal or a costly mistake. Did you know there's an invisible hand pushing car prices to record highs? It's not what you might think. While we often assume that high prices are driven by low supply, the reality in today's auto market is far more complex. Let's talk about inventory levels. Traditionally, when inventory is low, prices go up. But here's where things get interesting. Car inventories are actually increasing. You'd expect this to bring prices down, right? Well, that's not happening. Instead, we're seeing a bizarre disconnect between rising inventory and stubbornly high prices. They're artificially keeping prices high, even as lots fill up with unsold cars. Their secret weapon? Incentive spending. Recent data shows that incentive spending has skyrocketed to an average of 7.7% of the vehicle transaction price, up from a mere 2% during the pandemic. This means car prices are likely inflated by at least 7.7% above what the market actually demands. Manufacturers are essentially admitting that their prices are too high, but instead of lowering them outright, they're using incentives to make them seem more palatable. This strategy isn't sustainable, though. Major players in the industry are feeling the squeeze, facing serious financial challenges due to bloated inventory levels and quality control issues. It's leading to significant layoffs and production cuts across the board. The situation is even more dramatic in the electric vehicle market. Incentive spending for EVs has reached a staggering 13.7% of the average transaction price. This reflects the immense financial pressure on manufacturers to sell these vehicles, especially as consumer interest begins to wane. Experts are warning that the automotive industry is headed for a major reset. Many automakers will need to completely rethink their pricing strategies. The current market dynamics are unsustainable. Manufacturers simply must lower their prices to match what consumers are actually willing to pay. As automakers continue to push for higher margins, we're seeing more and more vehicles priced way above what buyers are ready to shell out. This is leading to a dangerous buildup of inventory that's not being matched by sales. It's a potential crisis in the making for the automotive market. The shift towards electric vehicles is adding another layer of complexity. Consumer demand isn't keeping pace with the industry's aggressive push towards EVs, resulting in unsold inventory and increased financial strain on manufacturers. Some companies are already reconsidering their production strategies and pricing models as a result. But here's the kicker. This artificial inflation through incentive spending is just the tip of the iceberg. There's an even bigger force at play in the auto market, one that could have far-reaching consequences for both buyers and sellers. And that's what we're going to explore next. The automotive sector is facing a looming crisis as a massive amount of debt quietly accumulates, threatening to upend the industry. The numbers are truly alarming. Auto loan debt has been growing at an unprecedented rate. Over the last decade, outstanding auto loan debt has doubled, far outpacing overall inflation rates. To illustrate this stark reality, car payments have been rising twice as fast as inflation from 2019 to 2024. This rapid increase signals a market potentially spiraling out of control. Several factors are contributing to this massive debt accumulation. Vehicle prices, especially for new cars, have been steadily increasing. As a result, more people are forced to take out larger loans to afford their purchases. Loan terms have also been extending, with 72-month or even 84-month auto loans becoming commonplace. While these longer terms make monthly payments more manageable, they keep people in debt for longer periods and result in higher interest payments over time. Consumer preferences have shifted towards larger, more expensive vehicles like SUVs and trucks, further driving up loan amounts. The growing popularity of leasing, which often involves taking on new debt every few years, adds to the problem. The current total auto loan debt in the United States has reached a staggering $1.5 trillion. That's more than the entire GDP of many countries. This enormous debt bubble has serious implications for both consumers and the auto industry as a whole. For individuals, it means more of their income is tied up in car payments, leaving less for other expenses or savings. It also increases financial vulnerability. If someone loses their job or faces unexpected expenses, keeping up with these high car payments becomes a significant challenge. For the industry, this debt bubble creates a precarious situation. If default rates start to rise, which is a real possibility given the current economic climate, we could see a domino effect. Banks might tighten lending standards, making it harder for people to get new car loans. This could lead to a sharp drop in vehicle sales, potentially triggering a broader economic slowdown. But the auto loan debt bubble is just one piece of a larger puzzle. There's another crisis brewing in the car market that's closely related to this debt situation. It's a problem that's affecting millions of car owners across the country, and it's about to make waves in ways you might not expect. Negative equity in car loans has become a widespread issue, affecting millions of Americans. This problem occurs when you owe more on your car loan than the vehicle is actually worth. The scale of this issue is massive, with potential consequences for both individual car owners and the entire auto industry. The roots of this problem stem from trends we've discussed earlier, like longer loan terms and rising vehicle prices. These factors contribute to a situation where cars depreciate faster than loans are paid down, leaving many owners underwater on their loans. To illustrate how extreme this can get, consider a real-world example. Someone buys a 2024 Bronco for $70,000. After just 1 year, the Bronco's value drops to $50,000, but the owner still owes $65,000 on the loan. That's $15,000 of negative equity in just 12 months. This isn't an isolated incident. The problem is so widespread that it's creating a crisis in the auto industry. 1 in 5 car owners now owe more than $10,000 on their loans beyond what their vehicles are worth. This financial burden affects millions of Americans and could have long-term consequences for consumer spending and repossession rates. What's more concerning is that many consumers are trapped in this situation. In the past, people could often roll their negative equity into a new loan when buying another car. But with stricter lending standards now in place, this escape route is closing for many underwater car owners. The implications of this crisis extend beyond individual finances. It's closely tied to the larger auto loan debt bubble we discussed earlier, and it's about to collide with another troubling trend in the industry. The combination of these factors could lead to a significant shift in how we think about car ownership and the auto market as a whole. The auto industry is facing an unprecedented repossession crisis. Recent data shows repo rates have increased by a staggering 23%, far beyond the typical 1 to 2% of all auto loans. This surge isn't just affecting a small segment of borrowers, it's impacting consumers across different credit tiers. What's driving this dramatic increase? While economic factors play a role, there's more to the story. The rise in interest rates has made car loans more expensive, pushing monthly payments even higher. For many borrowers who were already stretching their budgets, these increased costs have become insurmountable. Insights from repo companies and lenders suggest the actual number of repossessions is likely much higher than the official 23% increase. Many subprime lenders don't report their repossession data, meaning we're only seeing part of the story. The true scale of the crisis could be far larger. Repo agents are sounding the alarm, noting that the current economic climate is creating a perfect storm for repossessions. It's a vicious cycle that's leaving many car owners with no way out. Reports show an 11% rise in financially vulnerable borrowers since 2021, creating a growing pool of at-risk borrowers. Experts predict this trend of rising repossessions is far from over. As more consumers struggle to keep up with their payments, we could see a wave of repossessions unlike anything in recent memory. This flood of repossessed vehicles could have far-reaching consequences for the auto market, potentially leading to a glut of used cars and driving down prices. For lenders, it's a double-edged sword. While they're reclaiming assets, the process of repossessing, transporting, and storing these vehicles is costly, further straining their financial resources. However, for some consumers, this crisis might present an opportunity. As more repossessed vehicles hit the market, we could see some incredible deals on used cars. This repossession crisis is closely tied to the issues of negative equity and the auto loan debt bubble. Together, these factors are creating a situation that's set to transform the auto industry in ways we're only beginning to understand. As the auto industry faces repossessions and debt bubbles, dealerships are confronting an existential threat. The traditional car buying experience is changing rapidly, and it's affecting how you'll purchase your next vehicle. For years, buying a car meant visiting a dealership, browsing rows of vehicles, and negotiating with salespeople. It was as American as apple pie, but now, this model is under pressure from all sides. Dealerships are grappling with growing inventories and financial hardships, leading to closures and layoffs. Stellantis, the parent company of Jeep and Dodge, reported a 48% decline in profits year over year. Some Stellantis dealers have even called for a change in leadership, highlighting the severity of the situation. Consumer preferences are also shifting. Buyers want a streamlined, digital-first experience where they can research, compare, and purchase vehicles from home. This shift is forcing dealerships to rethink their entire approach to sales and customer service. While specific data varies, industry experts predict a significant reduction in traditional dealerships over the next decade. Some estimate up to 20% could close or be consolidated. As traditional dealerships face these pressures, new models are emerging. The direct-to-consumer approach, popularized by electric vehicle makers like Tesla, is gaining traction. However, a study commissioned by the National Automobile Dealers Association suggests that the cost advantages of this model may have been overstated. We're likely to see a hybrid approach in the future. Some dealerships are adopting aspects of the direct-to-consumer model, offering online sales and home delivery. Others are creating unique, experiential showrooms that go beyond just selling cars. For you, the car buyer, these changes could mean a very different purchasing experience. You might find yourself in virtual showrooms, scheduling at-home test drives, or completing your purchase entirely online. Or you could visit a reimagined dealership that feels more like a tech store than a traditional car lot. As inventory levels rise and dealerships face increasing pressure, you're likely to have more negotiating power. Experts predict that dealerships will need to become more flexible on prices, creating opportunities for better deals. The way we buy cars is changing rapidly, and it's important to understand how these shifts can work to your advantage. In our next section, we'll explore strategies for navigating this new landscape and securing the best deal on your next vehicle. The current chaos in the auto market hides a golden opportunity for smart shoppers. While the industry faces significant challenges, this turmoil could be your ticket to an incredible deal on your next car. Times of crisis often create unique opportunities for savvy buyers. With dealerships struggling to move inventory and manufacturers desperate to boost sales, you've got more leverage than ever before. The key is knowing how to navigate this tumultuous market. Experts point to the end of the year as the best time to buy a new vehicle. Dealers are scrambling to hit their volume objectives, and manufacturers have accumulated funds for incentives. But timing isn't everything. You need to be prepared to negotiate hard. With inventory levels rising, dealers are becoming more willing to offer discounts. Don't hesitate to shop around and compare offers from different dealerships. In this market, they need your business more than you need their car. Electric vehicle buyers are in a particularly advantageous position, with significant incentives available. But the real insider tip comes from a used car dealer. The slowest sales periods, like the end of the year, are when dealers are most willing to negotiate. Your secret weapon in this market is information. The more you know about inventory levels and manufacturer incentives, the stronger your position at the negotiating table. As inventory rises, dealers become more flexible. That's your cue to strike. Imagine walking into a dealership armed with this knowledge. You're not just another customer, you're a savvy buyer who knows exactly what you want and what it's worth. The potential savings are significant, potentially thousands of dollars off sticker prices. By timing your purchase right, being prepared to negotiate, and staying informed about market conditions, you can transform this challenging market into your personal goldmine for savings. But there's one more piece to this puzzle, a revelation about the future of car ownership that could change everything. Are you ready to see how the entire concept of having a car might be about to undergo a radical transformation? The automotive industry is on the brink of a transformation that could make traditional car ownership obsolete. A combination of technological advancements, shifting consumer attitudes, and economic pressures are reshaping how we think about transportation. Autonomous vehicles are at the forefront of this change. Companies like Tesla are working to develop fully self-driving cars, promising a future where vehicles can operate independently. This technology could lead to a shared mobility model, where instead of owning a car that sits idle most of the time, you might subscribe to a service providing on-demand access to a fleet of autonomous vehicles. Consumer attitudes are also evolving, particularly among younger generations. Many millennials and Gen Zers are favoring shared mobility solutions like ride-sharing and car-sharing services over traditional car ownership. They're prioritizing flexibility and convenience over the status symbol of personal vehicle ownership. These trends are already impacting the market. Car manufacturers are investing in mobility services alongside their traditional vehicle production. Ford, for example, has been exploring various mobility solutions, acknowledging that their future business might not solely rely on selling cars to individual consumers. However, the transition to a shared autonomous transportation model isn't without challenges. Questions about privacy, data security, and the impact on jobs in the automotive sector need to be addressed. There's also uncertainty about how quickly consumers will adapt to giving up personal car ownership. For those currently considering a car purchase, it's important to think about how these trends might affect the long-term value of your investment. Will the car you buy today still be relevant in a world of autonomous shared vehicles? Experts predict a future where fewer individuals own cars, instead relying on a mix of public transportation, shared autonomous vehicles, and other mobility services. This shift could have far-reaching implications for urban planning, personal finance, and our daily lives. As we look to the future of transportation, it's clear that the concept of car ownership, as we know it, could be completely transformed. In a world where transportation becomes more of a service than a possession, how will you adapt to these changes? The car market is facing unprecedented challenges, with a massive auto loan bubble and rising repossessions. However, these challenges create opportunities for smart buyers. Now's the time to rethink your car buying strategies. Consider waiting for end-of-year sales when dealers are eager to clear inventory. With the insights we've shared, you're well positioned to negotiate better deals. As we look to the future, the concept of car ownership is evolving. With autonomous vehicles and shared mobility on the horizon, traditional car ownership might be changing. We could be witnessing a shift in how people view and use personal vehicles. The road ahead for the auto industry looks very different from what we've known.